Mr. Leach, I've been discussing our sessions with the board, as you know. I regret to inform you that for reasons they chose not to disclose, all accounts we have discussed in the last 3 sessions will be stricken from the record.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Now don't let this discourage you.
Fuck you!
Mr. Leach!
God damn you all!
Mr. Leach, collect yourself, please.
They're never letting me out of here.
Now I understand your frustration, but I really think the most solid progress we've made lies solely with the events in 78. Let's pick up from there. Now, did he ever encounter that girl again? Did she ever resurface?
She did.
When?
"20 years later.
Bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him tulips like roses and clover. Then tell him that his lonesome nights are over.
So Halloween H20 tells the story of Laurie Strode 20 years after the tragedy in 1978 with her first 2 encounters with Michael Myers, living in seclusion in California when Michael Myers finally comes back to finish the job. All right, everybody, well, waving bye-bye to the Thorn trilogy, now it's time to pick back up with Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, one of the main characters in this entire franchise, and see what's been going on with her. H20 is one of those very complicated movies amongst fans of this franchise. I actually grew up with this movie. It was the first Halloween film that I saw in theaters. I have always been a big fan of this, despite some of the flaws that I start to see a lot more as I got older. But this is a weird movie amongst the franchise as far as fans go, because I see a lot of fans that just love this movie, die-hard H20 fans, love the wrap-up with Jamie Lee Curtis, and they actually consider this to be the canon ending of this series. But I see just as many like die-hard Halloween purists that really hate this movie for a lot of directions it took. For a long time, I never understood it. As time has gone on, I've started to see sprinkles of what they're talking about. There are still quite a few things in this movie that I constantly find myself defending it for. So, time to do it again. Halloween H20, let's go. So starting right off with the positives of Halloween H20, the biggest thing that makes this movie work, really the main thing that makes this how good of a film that it is, in my opinion, is Jamie Lee Curtis and her return as Laurie Strode. Not only was it cool to see her come back at that point in her career where she was this established actress, she had been in movies like True Lies and a lot of other really big hits. She wasn't just some young girl walking onto the set trying to get this break for a big film role like she was in 1978. Jamie Lee Curtis had some prestige behind her name. And the fact that she came back to the franchise that she got her start with to pay a respectful end to the character, or so we thought, then that was badass. That was awesome at the time. It's always cool to see these big established actors that went on to have successful careers that don't scoff at the fact that they got their start in horror, because you see so many actors do that. So many actors that have went on to have very successful careers got their start in a horror movie, and why you would ever want to hide that in the back as some forgotten chapter of your life, I have never understood. But Jamie Lee Curtis is the shining example of not doing that, embracing that, and coming back to give your fans what they want. And she's awesome in this movie. She's a little complicated. She's a little bit of a broken character. She's not the Laurie Strode, the innocent, virgin, girl who got mad that she forgot her chemistry book at school type of character anymore. Now she's complicated. She's a little bit of an alcoholic. She's not the best mom in the world. She's a little whacked out of her head. She has nightmares every night. She's so smothering and sheltering of her son to the point where he's just trying to break out at any point that he can. But that also brings a very realistic take on her character and what this experience would have done to her even 20 years later. Somebody comes along, kills all of your friends, kills an entire hospital full of people trying to get to you. You find out it's your long-lost brother and you were adopted and you got ties to a serial killer and all this crazy shit. That would fuck with your head a little bit. And they go for that. They don't try to ignore it. They try to actually make it a realistic continuation of what that character would be doing. And you also have the added bonus when you get to the third act and it's Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers. She's a badass. She's awesome. The third act of this movie is so satisfying because of what Jamie Lee Curtis brings back to Laurie Strode. I also really enjoy how Halloween H20 was a very back-to-basics approach for a sequel. This kind of goes away from all the crazy cult storyline and everything that we've spent the last couple of movies going through. It doesn't try to introduce brand new characters. It goes back to simplicity. It goes back to Michael Myers as this killer driven to kill his sister that is human and supernatural in some weird little creepy-ass mix. And they go for that and they try to get back to the feeling, or at least the approach that they took in those original 2 movies to make this like a coherent trilogy spanning 20 years. You spend a lot of time in the middle of this movie following 4 teenage characters. You got Josh Hartnett, who's Jamie Lee Curtis's son. You got Michelle Williams. You have the other 2 characters who are kind of like the other couple that they hang out with, the chick from Nash Bridges and the dude from Jumanji who grew into a very strange looking man, if I could say so myself. That character's weird. But anyway, you have the 4 characters here that, if I can be honest, they feel a lot like the teenage characters in that original 1978 Halloween. They have a lot of the same motivations. We're just trying to get away from the adults so we can hang out and fuck. And that is the old school approach, but it makes sense. It feels like a modernized take on what those teenagers were trying to do while Michael Myers was, going around town hiding behind bushes and shit. I enjoyed spending time with them. We get a little bit too much of a focus on them, which I will talk about in my negatives, but the time that we spend with these characters, especially Josh Hartnett, who was kind of up and coming, but he grew into an actor that I really liked in the late 90s, early 2000s, I enjoy it. I enjoy their characters.
Come on. Oh my God!
And I feel like Josh Hartnett specifically is very enjoyable because he really stands up against Jamie Lee Curtis. This is a mom that just is smothering to her son. She does not want him to leave this little bubble that she has put him in because, understandably, she endured this hellacious event when she was 17. But it's to the point where it's like, you're choking the life out of your kid, and Josh Hartnett just will not take it. He has 2 or 3 scenes in this movie where he is just in his mom's ass about, leave me the fuck alone, please.
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
Mom, I'm really uncomfortable with you saying that
Well,
word.
then don't put me in the position, John. Do you know what day it is? Of all the days for you to pull this shit, what do you think you can do? Just wander around town? I don't ask you for very much. Just give me one
Mom,
day!
I've given you 17 years.
Now getting into some of the things that I hear people bash this movie for, I will say, that I want to defend because I actually feel like these are positives. The first one is the new setting. Yes, this movie does not take place in Haddonfield. Even the opening doesn't take place in Haddonfield. It takes place in another town. But the California setting, to me, not only makes total sense logically, story-wise. I mean, if you have a character, you're taking this character of Laurie Strode to a point where she's trying to forget, she's trying to get away, she's got this fake death, she has a new name, she's trying to leave Laurie Strode behind in her own little grave so that Michael Myers will never find her or her son. Obviously, she would move the fuck out of Haddonfield. It would make absolutely no sense if this movie took place in Haddonfield. It would not. So all the complaining, you should be in Haddonfield, it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie, this is in Haddonfield, that would be fucking stupid. Aside from that, just the aesthetic difference of being in California is a nice little breath of fresh air. I'm doing too many of these reviews, people. There's so many Halloween movies. Please forgive me. Halloween, Jesus Christ. A breath of fresh air that this California setting is. I appreciate it. I appreciate the different look. I appreciate the school setting. I appreciate all of the new takes that they go for in H20 because we've had so many movies with the same exact approach. I like a little newness here. And if it makes sense for the story, I am totally willing to forgive that this does not have fucking Haddonfield on the beginning of this movie. I'm cool with it. I like it. And the other biggest thing that I hear a lot of fans really complain about is Chris Durant as Michael Myers. Now, I will say, which I will get more into in my negatives, that he does not get enough of a chance to shine as Myers, because Myers is kind of relegated to the last third of this movie for the most part. But what we do get of his version of Michael Myers, I enjoy. I think that he is a good Michael Myers. Not the best, certainly not the worst though. This is a guy that has some of those classic Michael Myers vibes to him. He stands a little bit too bowed out. It's a little strange. It feels like a subtle difference. It shouldn't matter, but it does. That's the only negative I have, but the way that he walks, the way that he moves, the way that he swings a knife, the brutality and the way that he's trying to kill some of the people for the few kills that we do have in this movie, and especially in that third act when it is him versus Jamie Lee Curtis, which is the main crux, the main hook of this movie. I feel like he really delivers. Like the scene whenever he's trying to find her and he's on top of the tables, he finally gets frustrated and just starts throwing tables across the room until he finally uncovers her. That stuff I feel like he nails. I don't see any problem with his portrayal of Michael Myers. I feel like he does exactly what we needed Michael Myers to do, especially in the third act of H20. Now, since I've already been talking about the third act and especially the ending of this movie is one of the best parts of this entire franchise. As soon as Jamie Lee Curtis locks everybody out of this little university, turns around with axe in hand, walks to the top of this little hill in this driveway and screams, "Michael!" and that classic Halloween score kicks in, from then until the credits, this movie is bad fucking ass. This is the version of Laurie Strode that I have always wanted to see, and hopefully we'll see an even more badass version here in a week, but she's badass in the way that she is just tired of Michael Myers' shit. There's a little bit of story that there's a little story nugget in there that a lot of people miss, where they're having this class and Michelle Williams and Josh Hartnett are in class goofing around, and she's talking about Victor Frankenstein and what he could have done to save this character in the book that the Frankenstein monster eventually kills. And Michelle Williams talks about how Victor should have confronted the monster sooner. Keeping running away and, always never looking back and trying to hide from it just gets people killed. Should have planted their feet in the sand and took on the monster. And that kind of has this whole tie into the psychology of Laurie Strode and her character, and that is the point in the movie where she's tired of running from the monster. She turns around, she confronts him head first and says, "This is the end. You're gonna die or I'm gonna die. I'm not running anymore, so get ready, motherfucker." And the fact that they had the balls to do what they do in the final shot of this movie, despite the fact that they didn't follow through with it with the sequel, which we'll get into, as far as I'm concerned, resurrection does not exist when I watch H20. So when I get to the final shot of this movie, I don't care that they fucked it up later on. This, to me, I am one of those fans that considers this the canon ending to the Halloween franchise. Or at least this string, this version, this little timeline, because Halloween has multiple timelines. The way that they had the ending, where even after Myers is presumed dead, you got the coroners taking him away, and she knows this motherfucker's gonna get up eventually, so she grabs the axe, grabs a cop's gun, points it at everybody, gets them to load the body in, and drives off with this van, eventually crashing and pinning Myers, who did eventually wake up, to this tree. And you have this nice little tender moment where he's reaching out, which is half like finally this brother-sister embrace thing and half Michael Myers trying to appeal to her good sense to try to get him out and try to fuck her over, maybe just pull her and snap her neck before he dies. There's something twisted and evil in that small little exchange of the fingers that's actually kind of brilliant to me. But Jamie Lee Curtis drops her hand, looks at him, and chops that motherfucker's head off. Awesome! I also feel like H20 is paced really well. This is a very short movie. It's one of the shortest, if not the shortest, in the entire franchise. It's not even a full hour and a half. And it feels like it's a short movie because it's just trying to get you to that third act. That was the main thing they were trying to sell you on. But you have the scene in the beginning where Michael Myers is reintroduced. He gets the information from the nurse from the first two movies. Then we're introduced to Laurie Strode and her characters. We get to linger around in the school for a little bit. Then you're in the third act. You have this confrontation and that badass ending. And it's just paced very well. There's no point in this movie, at least to me, where it feels like it drags, or it feels like they're filling it out, or it feels like they don't have enough on screen, so we're just going to spend time with character A, B, and C until Michael shows up. It feels like it's paced very well, and it keeps that kind of short movie pace where it's like, okay, we're not going to make this an hour and 45 to, you know, please the standards. We're just going to kind of go for the story we're going for and get to it. And they do. And as a final positive, this is a small thing, but it's also a very cool little nugget in H2O. There's a lot of cool references to Psycho. If you're not already familiar, the mother of Jamie Lee Curtis is Janet Leigh, who is the blonde character who gets stabbed in the shower in the original Psycho. Marion Crane, I believe was her name. And she is in this movie as a small character. So you got mother and daughter. She's like the secretary to Laurie Strode. And whenever there's a scene where it's getting ready to go into the third act, and this character is walking away like, okay, have a good weekend, Miss Tate. And she turns around and you have the original car that Marion Crane drove in that original Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. Not the same make and model and the same paint, the exact same car. So that is cool. If you're a fan of horror, that is undeniably cool. All right, now, moving into the negatives. I will say this most recent time of rewatching H2O, there are certain things that stood out to me in this movie that I could understand being a much bigger problem for a lifelong Halloween fan, or somebody that's just not really sold on the whole Laurie Strode thing, is just watching this as its own Halloween sequel. There's a couple things that H2O does stumble on, so let's address those. First and foremost, although the new setting, I appreciate it, one of the things that I do understand why fans don't really like the change from Haddonfield, Illinois, and the typical suburban fall kind of feel to it. Although this movie does feel like fall, there's not a lot of creepy atmosphere here. The school is not creepy. The California setting doesn't really add to creepiness. It just kind of feels like the movie's not there to scare you. You know, this doesn't feel like a scary Halloween movie. It feels like it's there for the fans for action. It feels like it's there to get to that climax for character reasons. It's Jamie Lee Curtis's movie more than it is Michael Myers' movie, and it's not really going for scares so much. There's a couple jump scares, but as far as really getting under your skin and having some creepiness or some weird tone or some really good atmosphere, the movie does lack that. This movie also has one of my least favorite renditions of the Halloween score. They add a lot of different notes and different little, you know, digital things added into the score to make it feel a little bit more softer and not so creepy. And again, that kind of goes into not giving it the movie as much creepy atmosphere, but that Halloween score is pretty important. Aside from the moment when she's holding the axe and she's screaming Michael's name, or the end credits after she chops off his head, the moments that you get the Halloween score sprinkled into H2O, it feels like a softer rendition, and I don't like softer. The only character, as far as a negative, that I would get into somewhat as a side character that doesn't really feel like they belong in this movie, despite the fact that I will say I do enjoy LL Cool J as an actor. I've said before in previous reviews, I can't stand it when they throw a rapper or a hip-hop artist into a horror movie. To me, that just means you're trying to throw a familiar face in the movie because you know it's going to suck and you can't get an actual capable actor into that role. LL Cool J is kind of the exception to that rule, because every single movie or TV show that I've seen him show up in, he's good. I like him. He's not like the best, but he's enjoyable. I really enjoy him in Deep Blue Sea. He's got a good charisma here, and he's got a good little interaction with Josh Hartnett and his weird friend. But the part of his character that I don't like is the continuous adding of scenes of him on the phone telling these really terrible, like, love, sex stories that he's trying to write to his wife, and just the interaction back and forth on the phone. It feels like the movie trying way too hard to be funny to a certain demographic of comedy, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't feel like it belongs in the movie. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It just kind of feels like those are moments in this movie where they had a dead spot and they're trying to figure out what to throw in there to make it entertaining and flow. It doesn't work for me. It's not like embarrassing. It's not cringeworthy. It just adds nothing to the movie. Now, moving on to the last two negatives of H2O, one thing that I really noticed, as far as, despite the fact the movie's paced well, the kills are not paced well in this movie, because you have a whole section, at least like 45 minutes it feels like, where there's no Michael Myers action. There's no killing. You have the kill in the beginning. You have this long stretch of hanging out in the town, in the school, with these characters. And then until you get into that third act where it's pedal to the metal until the credits, there's nothing. There's no kills. And it kind of goes back to that whole suggestion that they had back in the original Scream, where Kevin Williamson didn't have a kill for like 30 minutes, and the producers made them insert the kill of Henry Winkler just to kind of break up the monotony a bit. There should have been at least one more kill scene in this movie, because it just doesn't feel like, although the focus is getting to Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers, this is still a Halloween movie. We still want to see some good kills, and having to wait till the last 20 minutes of the movie to get them, frustrating.
I thought...
they're not all that memorable either. They're very simple. It's stabs or throat slashing. The only real kill in this movie that's memorable to me is the one with the dumbwaiter where he slashes the girl's leg, she gets all the way to the top, he cuts the rope, it comes down, damn near takes her leg all the way off, she's crawling away, and then he stabs the shit out of her, and then he hangs her up as this fucking Christmas light decoration of lights going through her rib cage. That shit is pretty cool, but that's really the only kill in this movie that's memorable to me. Something that the Halloween purists and Halloween fanatics and Michael Myers dedicators are huge detractors of, that I will actually agree 100% with, and that is the fucked up masks of Michael Myers in this movie. If you're not already clued into this, this movie has 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 different masks in Halloween H20, and it was all through reshoots. You have the one mask in the opening of this movie, which is almost identical, if not the same exact mask from The Curse of Michael Myers, which is one of the greatest masks in this entire franchise. If this movie had kept that mask, it would have been awesome. They didn't want to because they didn't want to confuse people with this being a continuation of The Curse of Michael Myers, but again, you're making your audience seem extremely stupid by that decision. I think if you show us that Jamie Lee Curtis is alive, we can figure out the connective tissue there. You know, there's even some threads in there in H20 and certain fans that believe that the death of Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie Strode and leaving her daughter Jamie Lloyd, that whole storyline that they kind of touch on in part 4, is still canon in H20. She just went on, left her daughter behind, started this new family, this new life, and that's one of the reasons why she's so fucked up, is because she has this long-lost daughter that she never even really took care of, and probably saw in the news that she got fucking slaughtered in this farm machinery. Who knows? But getting back to the mask, that was a tangent. Getting back to the masks, you have the Halloween 6 mask in one scene. Then you have this mask that they showed in all the marketing, like the pictures where he's looking through the little glass into Jamie Lee Curtis that has a little bit of an alien look, really big eye holes. They had that throughout pretty much all of the movie. Then you have the mask that we see in all of the close-up shots in this movie, which are all reshoots, which is kind of the more prominent mask in H20. When somebody describes H20, I usually picture that mask. All the other masks are kind of hidden in the distance, or they're kind of cutaways, or, you know, they're not shown fully. All the close-up shots are of the specific Chris Durant Michael Myers mask. And then you have one scene in this movie, which is a CGI Michael Myers mask, where they didn't have enough time to get the mask ready, apparently. They wanted to do one extra shot of this kid turning around from this garbage disposal and seeing Michael Myers, and you have this CGI imprintment of the definition of the Michael Myers mask. Aside from the Halloween 6 mask that is in one scene in this movie, the other 3 masks can go suck a dick. Because even though I like Chris Durant as Michael Myers, I cannot stand the short hair and the fact that they show the eyes of Michael Myers and they don't keep them hidden. Like, Michael Myers looks like this the whole movie. Because you never see the motherfucker's eyes, and all of a sudden H20. There's a scene where Jamie Lee Curtis kicks him in the balls, and it's the only like comedic moment you get because his eyes are like this. He gets kicked in the balls and he goes. The mask that they use with the big holes and all of the marketing that they ended up covering up, not a very good mask either. And the CGI mask, fuck you. You don't have time to get a mask, then you don't shoot the goddamn scene. That is an embarrassment. And it's gonna be very hard. I'm gonna do a video ranking the Michael Myers masks and ranking the Michael Myers portrayals after I'm done with this review series and I rank the movies themselves. That CGI mask, you're going on the bottom, bitch. But all in all, guys, I think Halloween H20 is one of the more successful sequels in this franchise. It's a sequel that I hold near and dear because I actually have nostalgia for it. Like a lot of you have nostalgia for Part 4, Part 5, Part 6. I have nostalgia for H20, which does shield me from some of the criticisms that people that grew up with this franchise in the 70s and 80s have for it. Totally fair, but a lot of those things that people harp on, I also don't understand. Like I've already explained in this review, a lot of things about this movie is a lot better than people give it credit for. And that third act alone, the bringing back of Jamie Lee Curtis, the new version of Laurie Strode, catching up with her 20 years later, the ultimate confrontation between her and Michael Myers, and that holy shit satisfying ending, that is worth the price of admission alone. So Halloween H20, still a badass sequel in my mind. So if you were curious what's been going on with Laurie Strode since the events of that hospital fire, This movie is going to give you all of that in spades. So if you want to see the ultimate confrontation between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and you don't want to wait till Halloween 2018 comes out next week to get it, pick up H20 because it's a badass sequel and it is deserving of being on your shelf. So go out and buy it. So what do you guys think of Halloween H20? Are you a fan of this movie? Are you one of the Halloween purists that has so many issues with this? Are you one of those people that says this movie is a rip-off of Scream? Because I didn't even address that in this review, but that is bullshit. Put that down in the comment section so I can yell at you. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to check out some social media links, down in the comment section below or the video description below, you must go for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach t-shirts and other merchandise, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to give back to this channel. Help this channel grow and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron, such as the ability to get exclusive Blu-ray digital copy codes that I give away to all my patrons almost every single week, and the ability to choose topics of videos for me, like a top 5 or a review. All of that is patron exclusive, so check that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, including the rest of this Halloween review series leading up to Halloween 2018, you can check all that out by clicking right over here.